Hello and welcome to Story X Story, the podcast by Maya Mada that dives deep into stories across pop culture, plus gives you advice on creating your own. It's episode 225, and I'm your co host, Nigel.
I am Tazziii, content creator and co-host.
And as always, we are here bringing you interesting discussions with diverse voices. And to help us out today as we go fast, really, really fast, is music artist SARE. SARE, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm good to be here.
Yeah, you're back. You were just with us in episode 219, a handful of episodes ago, where we interviewed you. So if people aren't familiar with Sare or want to know more about your background, your music, how you got into everything, yeah, go check out episode 219. We did a full interview, but now we're here to talk Sonic. So different topic. Thanks for coming back. And yeah, listeners, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast because we do this every week. So wherever you get your podcast from, you can subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We are also putting episodes out on YouTube as well. And you can connect with us, chat with us, reach out in a variety of ways, send us your feedback, questions. We've got our Discord, the Maya Matter Studio 77 Discord. Join there. You can email us, studio77 at myamatter.com, or you can throw your thoughts at us on social media. So we are at myamatter on Twitter, at myamatter.tv on Instagram and TikTok, and at myamatter.com on Blue Sky, or Life of a W Gamer on Instagram and TikTok, and Tazziii on everything else. You can also check out myamatter.com to get your copy of our latest manga, Origins Against All Odds, as well as discovering the Maya Matter universe in general. We do a lot of things, so yeah, go check that out and see what we're about. Before we get to today's story discussions, let's update you with the latest from the Maya Matter universe. We have a new manga, like I mentioned, and I always mention because it's true. And you can actually, as well as online, you can get it in a couple events that are coming up before the end of the year. So we are going to be going to some in-person events in and out of London in October on the 18th and 19th, Saturday and Sunday. We'll be at the Festival of the Girls. So this is a London event and is designed for young girls aged 7 and 11 to have fun, try out something new, be exposed to different industries, different experiences, a whole bunch of things like happening. We were there last year. We're coming back this year, bringing the Maya Matter brand, bringing our manga, including Origins Against All Odds. And we've also got an activity, an interactive activity that we're doing based on the themes of Origins Against All Odds. So we're going to be talking about that a bit more in upcoming episodes. But yeah, we've done a cool collaboration with the organizers, following it up with some activities at the event itself. So that's October 18th and 19th. Then a bit later, we've got Thought Bubble, November 15th and 16th, also Saturday and Sunday. And I'll be traveling to Harrogate Convention Centre, which is just outside of Leeds, for those wondering. And so 2 days celebration of independent comics. Is basically the convention center is just filled with as many independent comics creators as you have probably seen in your life. And I'll be somewhere like a dot in that sea of creators. So again, we'll be showcasing our manga, but then also doing a comic workshop for young creators at the event. So if you're 10 and up or around there, you can join in. Parents welcome too. Seeing some parents, some people working together. Looking forward to that as well. And yeah, so if you can catch us at those events or online, you can get the manga. That's Origins Against All Odds, which features Tazzii's character in the Maya Matter universe. It's a reflective, hope-filled manga about pursuing your creative career goals in the face of resistance and doubters in the world around you. So we've got that to look forward to. We've also got some events taking part in the Do I Look Like a Gamer video game representation campaign. It's an initiative that we do each year to promote inclusion, diversity in games. So each year we take a snapshot of 40 different players and makers to showcase the representation that does exist as a way to inspire more of it in future generations of diverse talent. And then we do a schedule of events. So we recently had our Cupcake and Gamepad social, which was cool. It was a different day than usual. But yeah, thank you for everyone that showed up on the new day. And we still had games. We still had cupcakes. It's made it work. And then we've got coming up the London Comic Con. So this is in October, the 24th to the 26th. And yeah, we essentially just bring the campaign to a booth in Comic Con for the whole weekend. So you'll find us. We're actually not sure we yet. At the point of recording, we don't have the map yet, but we'll be there somewhere with some games. We'll be showcasing the photos from the campaign. We'll have people joining us, indie developers, both tabletop and video game as well, showcasing games that they have made. And then we're going to be on stage. So on the Friday, the 24th of October, we're going to be on stage for panel Anime 101, Why It Hits Different, talking about what is anime, what it's about. Yes, I feel to anyone listening to this, but some people don't know. So we're going to explain that. This is off the back of a similar panel that I did at the Children's Media Conference to an audience that definitely didn't know what the FOSS was about and needed to know. So just bringing that to other places. We're going to be on the career stage on Saturday. So that's for Indie Dev Risk versus Reward. So that's in the evening, 6 o'clock, and well, 6:05. Weird timings on these, but yeah, we're going to be talking about that career path of making your own game from people who make their own game. And then on Sunday in the afternoon, 2:10, we're going to be doing a tabletop game design workshop. So we did that last year at the MCM EGX X something. I don't know how they're doing the branding this year, but we did this last year. We're going to be doing it again. So it's really good turnout and participation in that. So looking forward to that. And then, yeah, for those in our booth, we're going to be doing, like I said, having games. Yeah, so it's just about like having fun. Don't worry about being the absolute best, but there will be prizes though, having said that. So yeah, come and take part in that. Each month we do different shows, and they include the Studio 77 report, which I do with Tazziii, and we go over what's going on in the My Matter universe, as well as talking games. Casual conversations where I talk to a different comic creator each time about the craft of making comics, and games night where we play a different game, or we come back to games that we have enjoyed as well. So yeah, make sure you're following us on Twitch to catch each of those shows, and look forward to the next one. So if you're a young aspiring creative professional, or you know one, you can also check out the My Matter Showrunners Work Experience Program. So that's where we have created opportunities for young people aged 16 and up to work with our team across pretty much everything that I've just said. Like, I think literally everything. There's going to be someone involved in one of those things, or behind the scenes things. So comic production, events, content creation, a good chance to get your first bit of experience in creative industries. So you can email us, showrunners@mymatter.com, to find out more about that. And I think that is it. You're all caught up with everything we're doing. So with that done, let's talk about some of the stories that we've been enjoying this week.
So we're going to have a spoiler-free discussion about what stories people have been reading, watching, or playing. So we will start with our guest. Sorry, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so recently I've been kind of like on a kind of, I guess, slice of life anime type beat. So I guess one of them is Summer Pockets, which is which is like an anime adaptation of a visual novel by Visual Arts and Key. It's pretty much just like this kind of like summary, like slice of life, like anime, and has like different roots. And I've also really been enjoying the Fragrant Flower Blooms With You from this season as well. For like the video games that I've been playing recently, the open beta for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, so much fun. And Metaphor Refantazio by Atlas, which is really, really good as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm adding those slice of life to my list. Oh, that sounds good. So I actually want to talk about something that I didn't like.
Oh,
okay. That doesn't happen often.
I know, which is why I'm really
You like
excited to bring it up.
You've discovered a new emotion. Discuss.
Feel like an inside out. in season 2. You know what I mean? Second film, the sequel. Anyway, so I started watching this anime called Dance with the Devil, which is a musical anime. So I was like, this is cool. I've never watched like a series. I was like, right up my alley. Started watching it. Nope. Nope. It was not. It was not the vibe. And then I read the reviews and I was like, yeah, no, accurate bad reviews. Yeah, it doesn't capture anything that I like about musicals or anime. So it just, I don't know what it's doing really. So I was excited to talk about something like, so I wanted to bring that up. And then we're just going to go in mostly amazing stuff, if not good.
Balance it out.
Yeah. So I watched Abbott Elementary season 5, which did not disappoint. They just keep piling on to that good comedy. And there was a crossover I was not expecting, which made me full belly laugh. I won't say what though, because I don't want it to be spoiled. It was nice going into it not knowing. I watched every season of Castle, which is like a murder mystery novelist, follows a cop, a detective, and she's his muse. And so it's just like all the shenanigans of like each murder, each episode. But then there's like one big plot kind of weaving through. Yeah, and then I watched a film called Gamer. Have either of you heard of this?
No.
Okay.
I feel I'm getting a deja vu. Have you talked about this before? Or have we talked about this?
I think I mentioned it after we finished recording
Oh, okay.
the last episode that I was on. The last story episode that I was on.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I forgot to talk about it in the actual episode. I think, unless I'm just duplicating it.
I mean, it could be just the Matrix, a glitch in the Matrix, and
who knows. So it's like I really recommend it because I would not have watched this if someone didn't like tell me about it. It's better than I expected it to be. But it's basically about someone like invents this technology that allows you to control people as if they are your video game avatar. And it's used as a way to basically prisoners can take part in this. And the incentive is that they get released sooner. So they're like being controlled by other people in a shooter, but it's real life, but people are controlling them. Yeah. It's fascinating. It was actually really well done. I thought it was going to be really cringy, and then I was like pleasantly surprised. It was really good. And yeah, like if you're definitely a good one for like the gamers out there, and just everyone, but particularly the gamers, because I feel like you'll relate to it more. And I watched I think it's 2 seasons of Heaven Official's Blessing. Really good. Oh my god, just beautiful and amazing and funny. I've been playing Destiny Rising, which is the Destiny mobile game that just came out, and it's actually pretty good. It definitely ticks the like Destiny box. It feels like I'm playing Destiny, but it's like a new story and obviously like made for mobile. I think it's a lot more friendly for casual players or anyone that's been away from Destiny for a long time. But then also I was talking in chat with like people that still religiously play Destiny, and they were like, this is great for while we're waiting for new content from Destiny 2. And a game called Out and About, which is about foraging. And the reason why I'm really excited for this game is because it actually uses like real foraging information. They do have like a disclaimer of like, you know, check proper things because this is still a game, but it's really cool. It's like I already feel really educated and curious about foraging. It also makes me want to spend time in my garden. But yeah, Nigel, what's been on your list?
Because it's been a busy time, then I find I go back to things I am already watching and just watch more of them rather than start new things. So got mostly quick things to mention, but a couple new things I have started very recently. So I've mentioned on the podcast Better Call Saul, which is just fantastic. What's cool about this show is it finds its own lane and excels in it. So I've just finished season 2, and yeah, just the stakes in it are fantastic. The character development, it just feels all like logical from storytelling. The things that happen make sense for the characters and what we've seen in them. So fantastic. Also been continuing with Dandadan, which again, I think I mentioned this last time, is pure anime. Pure anime, not an anime I'd recommend readily to just anyone, because it is very idiosyncratic, but yeah, it's good. You know what, I think Tazziii, you mentioned this last time, I can feel it getting better. Not that it wasn't good to start with, but it just, yeah, it's getting more and more solid and good. And what I like about what they've done, because kind of a crazy premise, like high school kids, a girl and a guys into, was it ghosts, and then the
Guys
girls into
into-
The guys into aliens.
aliens, and she's into
Yeah.
ghosts. Yeah. And then they get various powers, awkward relationship between this guy and this girl at school. And I feel that just grounds the absolute ridiculousness of what is happening everywhere else. And that's a really good thing that it's doing. Plus, the intro is just fantastic. The intro music is fantastic. Went straight to Spotify and started playing that. Continuing Tokyo Revengers, which another amazing anime, fantastic representation of boys and friendship between boys. That isn't, I mean, it is about fighting, because there's a lot of fighting, but it's not about that. The main character is definitely not a fighter, is one of the worst fighters that I've ever seen in any anime. Gets punched and cries more than I've seen any character, let alone male or female, in anything. But it's about, like, typical anime things of never giving up, but the vulnerability he has, what he means to the other people who can really fight. And I recommended it to I don't know if they took the recommendation, but some friends who I know who have got kids, and I've just said to them, like, if you've got boys, watch this with them and talk to them about what's happening in this, because I feel it's like important. I mean, it's a good story anyway, but it's also important for that aspect, like that kind of male representation on screen. So yeah, really enjoying that. I'm coming to the end of season 3, and yeah, the main character Takamichi is just, yeah, yeah, what a guy. He gets hit a lot, but what a guy. And then couple new things. Just started reading comic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, which I think I got this early in the year, and it just took me so long to actually like get to it. But I think the special thing about it is that it's written by Kevin Eastman, who's the creator of Turtles. And yeah, I'll leave it at that, because I've literally just started just a handful of pages in that. But yeah, liking the art, liking the slightly darker tone that's happening, that I can see sort of developing. And there's some things I think that are going to come, but I won't say, because one, I don't know, I haven't read it, but also if I venture into spoilers. And the last thing I've been watching, and I'm very impressed with, also just started it, is Eyes of Wakanda on Disney Plus. Have either of you seen this?
No.
Okay, so I've only seen one episode, but that one episode, what an episode! That had everything, like great character introduction, great establishing of the stakes. The ending left me going, oh, I need to. Yeah, I'm definitely finishing this. I'm finding out about that. It's Wakanda, so I'm seeing like black characters on screen, which is also a plus for me. It feels like it just feels quality just from the start. It just feels quality. And I'm also appreciating, I think the credit has to go to Into the Spider-Verse, that sort of broke the Pixar, I don't know, the Pixar mist that was in everyone's eyes, where a good animation had to look like Pixar, and it doesn't, and this doesn't, and appreciative of that. So yeah, I'm not going to say any more, because again, I've only seen one episode, but this just looks like a quality show. It's a mini series, so it's not a huge length, but it feels really good. So looking forward to watching more. And even on one episode, I feel like I have to recommend this to people, because that was a good episode. So yeah, those are the stories we have been enjoying. Now, let's get to our main story discussion. Today, we are going to be talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and probably the previous two as well. But this one, 3, is the 2024 comedy based on the Sonic video game series. This third installment was directed by Jeff Fowler and written by Pat Casey, Josh Miller, and John Whittington. It stars Jim Carrey, Ben Schwartz, James Marsden, Tika Sumpter, Idris Elba, Kristen Ritter, and Keanu Reeves. So, spoiler alert, we will be talking about all the details that we've got time for in this one. And again, I'm sure 1 and 2 will come up as well. I will do a story recap of the third one. And before we do that, let's get everyone's quick takes and general impressions, starting with our guest. SARE, what did you think about this story?
I genuinely thought that, like, out of all of them, like, this was the one that they put, like, the most care into in terms of, like, the whole, like, Sonic movie universe. And because the director, Jeff Fowler, originally was part of, like, the team that did the original Shadow game, it was, like, really important that, like, you know, they got, like, the story, like, really well and similar, but, like, also different in its own way. And yeah, I thought it was, like, a really good adaptation for the Sonic movies. So yeah.
And Tazziii, what about you? What did you think about this story?
I enjoyed it. I think for me, so I think when I watched the first Sonic, I watched it when Sonic 2 came out because I was going to see it in the cinema. I was pleasantly surprised, like it was way better than I thought it was going to be. And then 2 was great. And then I think 3 is like just equally as great. I feel like just a lot of this is similar sentiments. Like this is like the kids' superhero movie, but not just for kids. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, Sonic takes a while to learn some lessons as well, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that.
I thought it nicely built on that, and yeah, it was cool to see the like Shadow's story and how they kind of impact each other.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think because you know what, on this recently, or last year as well, we've done a few quote unquote kids films, and I feel like I'm going to bring up the Wild Robot again at some point, but also Minecraft, the Mario movie as well. What else have we? I think those are the main ones. And it's just interesting to see people's the way they've each been approached. But I think for what Sonic does, I think it does it well. And I remember watching the first one. I watched it around the time it came out, and like you, Tazzy, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, okay, especially after that first, the ugly Sonic thing. I was like, okay, but it's like, no, this is good. This works, and I hadn't seen the other two until recently for the podcast, so I watched them back to back, and definitely seen similar things. I quite like the second one. The talk I'd heard is that the third one, or the impression it gave me, that the third one was a lot better than the second one. I don't think that's the case. I quite like what the second one did, but I did like the way they're introducing these new characters as well. So yeah, I think it's solid. I think it's a solid film, and there's a lot I do like about it. And then there's some interesting things again with the approach to doing kids films that I want to get to as well. So yeah, we'll get to it, but I will do a recap of the story. This is a story that takes us to 1974, where a meteorite with Shadow in it crash lands in Oklahoma and is seized by the US military. Shadow's power is experimented on by Professor Gerald Robotnik under the supervision of Captain Walters. Shadow also develops a close friend with Maria Robotnik. One night, as Gerald, Maria, and Shadow try to escape the facility to prevent Shadow from being taken away, Maria is accidentally killed in an explosion. Walters shuts down the facility, imprisons Gerald, and places Shadow in suspended animation. But fast forward to 2024, Shadow is released as Sonic celebrates the anniversary of his arrival on Earth with Tails, Knuckles, Tom, and Maddie Wachowski. The gun director, Rockwell, arrives and recruits Team Sonic, Sonic's words, to help recapture Shadow in Tokyo, but he overpowers the three and escapes. Team Sonic then meets with now Commander Walters, who tells them about Shadow's past. Suddenly, Dr. Ivo Robotnik's drones attack, and Walters gives Sonic a keycard before he dies. They search for Shadow without Gun's help as Rockwell discovers the missing keycard, turning against Team Sonic as they form an uneasy alliance with Dr. Robotnik and Agent Stone. As Shadow captures Stone and Team Sonic, Robotnik meets Gerald, his long-lost grandfather who orchestrated Shadow's escape. Grandpa Robotnik explains that the keycard is one of two needed to activate the Eclipse cannon, which he designed, and claims that he plans to use it to destroy Gunn's headquarters in London. Dr. Robotnik agrees to join him, and Shadow takes the keycard from Tails before activating a miniature black hole to destroy the base. Team Sonic recruit Tom and Maddie to steal the second keycard from Gunn's headquarters. Tom successfully obtains the keycard by disguising himself as Walters, but Shadow, looking out for revenge, wounds him and takes the key, allowing the Robotniks to launch the Eclipse Cannon. Enraged, Sonic abandons Tails and Knuckles to steal the Master Emerald and becomes Super Saiyan Sonic, trademark. Sonic confronts Shadow, who also becomes superpowered, and they fight until Sonic relents as he realizes he was becoming consumed by revenge. Sonic tells Shadow about the loss of his mentor Longclaw, and that their love for the people they have lost is more important than revenge. Having a change of heart, Shadow agrees to stop the cannon, and on the cannon, Gerald reveals to Robotnik his intentions to destroy Earth to avenge Maria's death. Robotnik tries to stop him as Tails and Knuckles arrive, and the three knock Gerald into the reactor core, killing him real quick. Sonic and Shadow block the cannon's beams as the others steer it away from Earth, but accidentally slice off a part of the moon. Sonic then loses his superpowered form and consciousness while blocking the cannon's beam with Shadow and falls down to Earth. Tails and Knuckles save Sonic using a ring portal to Green Hills. When the cannon's core begins to melt down, Dr. Robotnik acknowledges Stone as his only friend before he and Shadow sacrifices themselves to move it away from Earth before it explodes. Sonic reconciles with Tails and Knuckles while Tom recovers from his injuries. And during a race with Tails and Knuckles, Sonic accidentally ends up outside of New York, where he is ambushed by an army of Metal Sonic robots, but is saved by Amy Rose. The end. So, yeah, this is, like I say, the third one, continuing this adaptation where very methodically adding new character from the series. So this is a series that draws inspiration from the games Sonic Adventure 2 in 2001 and Shadow the Hedgehog 2005. I would just wonder how familiar everyone is with the games and how well you think they have done in adapting the games into the films.
I think the movie did like a really great job at like, you know, adapting like those two from like, you know, in its own way, because Sonic Adventure 2 is also like, you know, set on Earth, but it's like its own kind of like rendition of Earth. So like there was like some limitations with like what they could do with that. And Gerald's story and Shadow's story is a little bit more kind of like darker, but like how they went about it with like, you know, how they set up that universe, like their own Earth, like the cinematic universe of Sonic, really went about it like the best way that they can. And yeah, I think it was really well done.
Yeah, because I've actually, it's been a while since I played a Sonic game like properly. So a lot of his lore, I've kind of seen some of it like through memes, but not actually played a game in a while. So it was cool to see. I had to like read up on some stuff that's happened, but it feels well done to me. I don't know how, like, Tazziii, if you've had much experience with the games recently, or I say recently, as we're talking 2021 and 2001 even, and then 2005. But yeah, have you had much experience with the games, and how do you see this adaptation?
Well, the last like Sonic game that I properly played that wasn't like Sonic 2 was Sonic Heroes, so it's even not that much. So I've not really like dived. I've like played a couple of demos or like quickly played like little bits with friends, so I'm not very versed in Sonic
Yeah.
nowadays, other than like what people tell me. I've got like a few know a few people that are well versed
Yeah.
in Sonic.
We should have had Gino on this episode. That's what we should have had.
Yeah.
Literally one of those people.
Yeah. But I think for me, I think it's like it felt like at least the Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow that I've experienced from playing the games in the past or watching the old cartoons. But there was one bit that was like when they were racing that kind of reminded me of Sonic Heroes. So
it's funny because when I was a kid, I preferred Sonic over Mario. I played them both, and is one of those moments I was there with the first one for each. And Sonic just seems always like cooler. I think Sonic's cooler than Mario. but the the games were better, to put it bluntly. So yeah, I've definitely played a lot more Mario than Sonic. But I'm glad to see like them bringing them out, and for those that might not have remembered exactly what the other two films were about, but in the first Sonic, he arrives on Earth. He's fleeing his homeworld to protect his powers. He first meets Tom, and then they team up against Dr. Robotnik, and they eventually send him to the Mushroom Planet. And then Sonic sticks around. And then in the second one, Robotnik returns from the Mushroom Planet with Knuckles, who is looking for the Master Emerald, and Sonic joins forces with Tails, also a new character at the time. And the film explores like themes of responsibility and friendship as Sonic learns what it means to be a hero. And then they defeat Robotnik, and then Knuckles sticks around, joins Tails, and they're all friends, Team Sonic. And it was also the sort of background I heard to it is that Jim Carrey had mostly retired from acting, so I had to convince him to come back for the third one. So after the second one, and I feel Jim Carrey, he's on some other sort of spiritual stuff. He's like feels like he's done with acting, but they got him in, and the film is seen as a success. It's become the highest grossing film in the franchise, so just under 500 million. That matters to you, and the third highest grossing film overall, I think, behind Super Mario Bros. Movie and the Minecraft movie, both of which we've covered on the podcast. We've had a long history of video game movies being automatically terrible. In recent times, adaptations have been good to excellent, actually. So where on the scale would you put this film before you dive into all the details of it?
Definitely, like not saying this out of bias, but like out of like every like video game adaptation, like this definitely like takes the top because of how well it's done, how much they really cared about it, and also like the success of how like these movies and everybody loved them. So yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's quite high, and not that this particular movie isn't good. One of the reasons is because they're solid, like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, very
We've just had
solid.
very solid and consistent, and I hope that it stays that way. It's not like, oh, we're ramping up and getting better and better, because I think that is just success to failure.
Oh, when they try and pack in more and more.
Yeah, the stability of the series, I think, is good. I like there's no like disappointment. We didn't get to 3 and like get to a point where it's like, oh no,
They
they've
fell
lost
off.
it.
Yeah.
We've It's just been like very solid. I don't feel like it's been like, oh my god, this is blown number 1 and 2 out of the water. I feel like it's a very good sequel. Like
Mhm.
it's as if it's just one story. It's a film series that feels like a TV series in terms of
I
like
actually
Oh
the
yeah.
made
consistency
a
of
note
it.
of that. It feels Saturday morning cartoon, and I don't even necessarily mean that in a bad way. Just yeah, whatever that feels like, that's what it felt like to me. But definitely agree on the like solid. Like I think this is solid. And as I said, like each time they're adding a new character, which I'm sure that the marketing department is loving the way they're doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's done well. So in this one, we get Shadow, and he brings darkness, in a word. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, he does bring a different tone to it, because the sort of like previous films set up Sonic as like a character who needs to grow, personal development stuff, and then each one introduce new characters, and it's setting them up for like the team dynamics. So we get that. What did you both think of Shadow as a character in this?
I feel like this like iteration of Shadow feels like, really like, really, really like true to its like video game counterpart. Especially like with how like they've adapted him within this movie and how they went about his and Maria's relationship, but also like how he like tries to grow from that emotions, those feelings. So yeah, I feel like they've done Shadow really good for this movie, and yeah.
Yeah, no, he felt like real. like a realistic character as well, like really relatable. Because I think with Shadow that it's easy to go in like a cringy direction, like if they get it wrong. But I think it was really well done. I think he was done well.
I think the work done in the previous two films allowed them to start just get into it in this one, because I noticed, particularly with the second one, it was like I use the word slow again, not necessarily in a bad way, but it was a lot of sort of happy-go-lucky, and then it turns as like Knuckles comes in and raises the stakes. But a lot of work is done on Sonic and what he wants. We know he wants to be a hero. He has to learn what it means to be a hero, and he learns that through the conflict with Knuckles. Whereas here now we've done all that, so they can just go into Shadow's here and what that means for the dynamic, the relationship, the antagonists in the film. So I appreciated that. Felt like it felt again solid, coherent, and then there was less, or at least like, from my perspective, less filler. Even though I did like the second one, there's like some like filler stuff, or felt like it in the second film. And then we'll talk about this being a quote unquote kids film. Do you feel like I felt like Shadow added a bit more danger into this? I don't know how you felt about his tone and what he meant to, what him and Gerald and Maria like meant to the story.
I feel like Shadow, like especially with like his character and how like they went about his story, again, really well done, but also they did like tone it down because again in the
From the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like the game counterpart is really, really dark. And but like they made it like in a way for like it to be like accessible for children to watch it. But in the game it was like something happens, like Maria dies, but like it's not the same as in the movie. People were really like expecting what happened in the game to happen in the movie as well. But yeah, like they really, even though it was like dialed down, I feel like it still added something. And like Shadow's pain is still justified because he lost a friend, and the actions of the GUN that did that. And
it still allowed him to do all that, and it allowed him to bring in those like issues of like loss, trauma, revenge, pain, and working through that.
Yeah.
Have you seen have you seen The Wild Robot, the DreamWorks animation?
Oh no.
Okay, so first of all I say watch that, it's fantastic. And so then like Tazziii, I'll put this to you, because we talked about The Wild Robot a bit earlier, and again, fantastic film. What's interesting is that film felt almost like darker and harder hitting in its themes than this one. And it just made me think about how we approach like quote unquote kids films. So Tazziii, what do you think about how they dealt with Shadow and what he meant to those issues of like loss? Because the idea is like Shadow's lost Maria, and then we see that in flashbacks, their relationship and happier times. And then in present day, he's like consumed by pain. He's so consumed by pain. He's just dark and willing to go with Robotnik and destroy the whole planet. What did you feel about like that and how it's presented, particularly for a kids film?
Yeah, I think because Wild Robot was definitely like more provoking, but I think in terms of like the stakes, they were like it was still like in terms of like the darkness of it. They were both equally dark subjects, but it didn't feel like that. It was, I guess, it's just like the lightheartedness of like Sonic as well.
I guess that's the balance. They definitely balance out the tone with each other. Yeah,
it's like way more silly, but it's still really dark. Because the moment that I was like, this film is dark but sugar coated.
Sugar coated darkness.
It's when they're in the like cafe with the characters.
Oh, at the Chow Garden in Japan.
And it just gets shot up. Like this is a kid's place, and it just got literally like mowed down by guns, and the carrot, like there would have been some casualties there. I'm sorry, like. And then I was like, yep, sugar coated darkness. But the only time that it's really feels dark is in Shadow's flashbacks. Is when we get like
and sad.
But I feel like that's the only time we actually get like the tone of the film matches the subject matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt that.
Yeah, because it's just very silly. But I don't think did it I don't think
it necessarily
does,
undermined or that's a good
I think it does
question.
a little bit. I
guess it does, otherwise I wouldn't have brought up the point, right? With
yeah,
with
I think it
robot.
does, but I do think it does really well whenever Shadow is the does it? I don't know. Whenever Shadow's on screen, like Shadow is his parts, I feel like the tone does change whenever we're on Shadow. Whenever we're focused on Shadow, there is a tone shift.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it completely undermines it, because it does have that. You do feel it. You do feel that tone shift completely whenever we're focused on Shadow, and then it's just Sonic. I guess so. That's just who Sonic is. Sonic is is that like silly, like
he's a kid,
happy-go-lucky, goofy character. Even in his own sadness from like the first films, we've always had that silliness. So I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting. I think it's done well, but it is, I think maybe the weight of it is lost a little.
Yeah, I think so. And my mind goes to I'm gonna skip what's the Thor film we hate? I even scrubbed the name from my Love and Thunder. Yeah. I'm gonna skip that.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I was trying to recover it from the deleted part of my brain. I'm going to skip that, but I'm going to go to Thor Ragnarok. Was at the time of watching Thor Ragnarok, I worried if the humor undercut the drama too much, and then we watched Love and Thunder, and I was like, oh no, this is what I was worried about. So Ragnarok, in my mind, got the balance like just right without being too much. Well, it's subjective, but I did feel while watching it, some of the heavier dramatic moments were a little undercut. And I feel, as Tazziii, you're saying, I feel that a bit here, but not to a Love and Thunder basically extent. It didn't like make a mess of everything. It's just with Sonic being who he is, you kind of, I guess the challenge is like finding that tone and that balance. So even with the rating, because I know one of the writers, Pat Casey, I saw an interview and he said it. This is a quote from them. It's funny because these movies are rated PG, but it's a pretty hard PG. The one thing that keeps us in PG territory instead of PG-13 is really that we avoid ever having real guns. Everyone is using tasers, lasers, or energy weapons, which is a great cheat that gets us past the MPAA, which is the ratings board, I guess, in the US. So I think that's to your point, Tazziii, about they shoot up the place, but it's all energy weapons. It just makes a big difference to the tone and the rating, and that no one. I mean, people do die, but no one. It's weird. It's actually, as we're
no
talking
one
about,
dies like on screen.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
So it's all like suggestive. Like if it was a Marvel film, you'd be like, they're still alive.
Yeah.
Like that's how
they're coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily.
No.
I think it works for the film. I think with like children's media as well, there's sort of two ways you can kind of go, because I think it's such a delicate thing dealing with anything heavy in children's media. And I think you either have to go a very like beautiful way, or like this a very silly comedic way, so that it is like still age appropriate and able to be absorbed and enjoyed. Like, it's not like, it's a different effect than if you're making Joker, the first one. Like you don't want children to be traumatized. You want them to feel
that's
it's great,
Joker
like touching.
Yeah.
You want to be able to touch on these subjects, but you don't want to traumatize a child. So I think it's done really well in that sense. Like it's not a bad thing that they've done that.
Yeah. And it also does, like, it doesn't take away from like the narrative as well. because like again, like the counterparts, like two different counterparts, and like the way that they had to do things, that they had to change up like these things, but I didn't feel like it took away anything like emotionally, or like or feel like they've cheapened certain
Yeah,
certain
that's a good
things.
phrase. Yeah.
No, I agree. And as I was watching, I was like, yeah, this is really well done. I think what they know what they're doing.
Hmm.
And like they mentioned, sort of adapting different games and bringing them in. So naturally, with adaptations, you have to, some bits go in, some bits are left. This is where SARE got to lean on you for how well they've adapted specific bits. But I know that as I was looking up, so from Sonic Adventure 2, there's a character, Rouge the Bat, who doesn't make it into the film. And though elements of a story exist, so from what I've seen, the heist segment in the second act of the story is like a stand-in for one of her levels.
I believe so, yeah.
Interesting one for me is Gerald Robotnik. And this is where, because when we talk about adaptations and understanding different like mediums and what works for both. So in the games, and again, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, Robotnik is experienced in flashbacks and like old recordings. But in the film, he's here. He's a very old, probably if you think about it for too long, the ages don't add up. But he's here. And Pat Casey, again, I'm quoting from interview he did with Games Radar, said of Gerald Robotnik, we wanted to make him more of a present danger, giving us a real villain, because we knew from the beginning we wanted to find an opportunity to get Sonic and Ivo Robotnik more stuff together. So the idea of them teaming up was a big thing on the to-do list. And that's an interesting one for me. So in the film, you've got Robotnik presumed dead. And I guess they did that because Jim Carrey was out, so they killed. But they had to bring him back. He's checked out basically. He's gained a bit of weight. Speaking of Thor, a bit of a Thor journey. He's gained a bit of weight, but his Agent Stone, his sidekick, hasn't given up. So he's the one causing trouble in Tokyo. And then essentially they team up because there's a bigger threat. And then when they go deeper into it, they discover that Joel's still alive. And then they have their kind of grandchild bonding stuff going on. But he becomes the villain. And typically, not always, but typically, particularly for films like this aimed at this audience, you need a villain. There's usually that's the bad guy over there. So it's interesting to see them make that change. And I can understand why they did that. But what did you think about the way they made that change with Gerald Robotnik?
Yeah, like again, counterparts to like the video game, because Gerald doesn't really have that much of like a present, like stand-in in like the video games, and is only shown in like flashbacks and recordings. But he still had like a crucial part in like how like the story played out, and how like the movie went about it as well. Like again, like really best way that they could. I would say, like, Gerald in the games, like, driven by revenge, but couldn't really do anything much about it because, like, 50 years have passed and presumed to be, like, dead. And, yeah, in the movies, they kept him alive because, like, they need, like, a villain. But I feel like having him as, like, the villain in a movie really upped the stakes for the movie, because Shadow being there and Gerald being there is like essential part of like Shadow's story. And yeah,
what did you think about him, Tazziii, like his role in the story?
I liked that. I liked how and kind of build on Robotnik's character as well. And I think I quite like that, how we sort of like see in his character. And then I thought it was just fun. He has like a really fun element to it. And like definitely that kind of being played by the same actor, and they had the moment. But it just added like this extra bit of fun and silliness that I think it was like charm. That's the word I'm looking for. Like just like an extra bit of charm to it.
Yeah, I do feel everyone, maybe with the exception of Shadow, came with like some weight to, sorry, some weight and then some levity to them to balance out the heaviness. And then Shadow was all the way on one, and then Sonic for the most part was all the way on the other side. So yeah, I liked what he brought, and it's the idea of, what is it, you can root for the antagonist character if there's a bigger threat.
Hmm.
And I felt that's what Gerald allowed them to do, to then, because obviously not that Sonic and Robotnik like each other all of a sudden, but they've got to work together because there's a bigger threat until Robotnik flips over. The other interesting aspect to this was Maria and then flashbacks. So, general question for people: what do you think of flashbacks in films and TV shows in general? And then, what did you think of the flashbacks for exposition on Maria and Shadow's relationship here?
I feel like for like flashbacks, they like, if they're not, if it's not too much, then it could be really well done.
Mm,
But for Shadow, I feel like those like flashbacks are important because
mm,
that's such a like key component to his character, because he has to like remember like his friend and remember that, like, like that relationship that he had with Maria, and like the promise that they made to, like, either go and see Earth, or like, go outside the facility. And those things, especially in this movie, is like really important. So if it has like context to like the overall setting and the overall world, then I think, like, having flashbacks is good.
Yeah, I think flashbacks can be a really good storytelling technique when done right. And I think it was done right in this. Like we were talking about Fragrent before recording. Kind of spoiler alert, but it's the kind of the whole premise. It's basically flashbacks. Like it's part of building that story. So, and like without them, it wouldn't make, you wouldn't evoke the emotions. So I think, like, yeah, this is done. Another good example was like Fallout, the TV series. Excellent use of
mm,
flashbacks. That it builds the story in ways that make sense, and I feel like this was done well. Flashbacks can definitely be used wrong and just be like jarring, but I think, yeah, when it's done, placed in this kind of way where it's like great for evoking like the right emotions at the right time, letting us know the backstory, and kind of like reminding you of why it's so important at like just the right points. And I think especially as it is a kids movie, like highlighting that loss, I think is important.
mm.
Yeah, and also for balance, because I think if we didn't have those flashbacks, then we wouldn't have like the movie would be too silly. It'd be
Yeah.
too much on the high.
Yeah, I don't like, without like the flashbacks, I feel like, people are missing context as to like what Shadow is really doing this for.
Yeah. And he would have been, without them, he would have been just a 2D character.
Oh yeah.
So they're very important for him. And then, because with Maria, I think, because I like Maria, I was aware of, like, again, memes stuff. So it took me a while. And then as I was putting notes together to get the full context of like what this would mean, having played the games as well, and then
Mm,
seeing her in this, and the relationship play out. I know from the games she has an illness, and that's the
mm,
idea for Gerald doing like all his research on Shadow to help cure that. And unless I missed it, they took that out of the film. And I mean, I don't know if there was a reason. I know I was going through like an interview with the writers, but in my mind, that would have humanized Gerald too much, and you needed him to be a bit more villainous in this. But I don't know, the reason. But that was another kind of slight change or tweak from the games. But yeah, no, I think they did again. It is good, solid job in terms of adapting the material, but keeping the essence of, because that's always the thing, right? You in a lot of cases you're going to have to change something because it's different mediums and different things work in different
mhm.
mediums, but it's all about keeping the essence of it. And even though I haven't played all the games, I still felt the essence was kept here and preserved really well. And then, we said a number of times, is safe in a way. And thinking back to our conversation on the Mario Bros movie, that was super safe. It was good. And it was just the number one highest grossing video game film, but it's very, very safe. this Sonic, in fact, all of them have felt relatively safe, but not necessarily to that extent. It still feels a bit almost like at least the early games, like Sonic was like the edgy, like Sonic and Sega was like the edgy one. Nintendo was always like about the family. So I feel the
Yeah.
films have a similar feel. But like you said, Tazzy, actually before I get to that, I'll say, so from a narrative perspective, this felt safe. But and that comes with like, positives and negatives. I feel one of the positives is the way they introduce new characters. It's just well done. I feel like I'm gonna say this is a lot, but you get a tease at the end and then it pays off in the next film. Maybe Marvel can remember what they what they used to do with the teases. You tease and then you pay it off, and that's what they've done here. So each time they establish a new character, but then obviously from a fan perspective it's good because, oh yeah, I remember that character and I'm gonna go see them in the film. But narratively the character also adds something to the film, so again the balance is there. But I don't know if in your mind, like Tazzy and sorry too, do you feel this is this too safe? Because like I said, I made a note, like the stakes had the feel of a Saturday morning cartoon. In my mind it was not a problem, but it did let down some of the sequences. But I don't know what you felt about that, the level of safety here.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I think it was like as safe as it could be for like that setting and like that movie and that universe. So not to the like level of like, having to like, say for example, like the Mario movie. Yeah, they had to like make some like, changes, Mario, but also like, kind of like keep elements in there that like, people would recognize and people would be like, oh yeah, like, that thing and that thing and that
Yeah.
reference there. But yeah, I feel like, they could have like upped the stakes a little bit more, but otherwise I feel like I think it's also fine as it is.
I guess you'd agree, Tazzy.
Yeah, pretty much that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the one thing that was probably a letdown, it's probably more of a personal thing because I do like heist stories. So when they figure out they need to go to London to get the other key, there's that sequence where they plan how Sonic's going to get in, what Knuckles is going to do, what Tails is going to do, and that bit felt a bit weak to me.
Mm.
I guess it felt a bit easy. I know this is not a heist film, so obviously you're packing it into like the second act before moving on. But yeah, if anything, that was just me. But I personally like heist films. Ocean's 11 is one of my favorite films. Also, what did you think about the representation of London in this?
I thought it was like, yeah, London's there.
yeah.
I mean, like,
we saw like three parts of it, so
yeah. Honestly, like for
Do we feel well represented?
I mean, they showed some icons that's it. Like, I don't feel like it represents anything. I feel like you could tell that it was in London because it used very iconic
locations.
Yeah. Not even the location. I wouldn't even call it the locations.
There would be a barely, yeah.
The buildings or structures.
Yeah.
Didn't even show them like in context to where they are. Yeah, I wouldn't say it represented anything. It just showed that we are in London in the most
Sonic way possible.
It's funny. It's just whenever like there's London in a film, I don't know about you guys, but my ears are perk. I was like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with this? It must be how, like, I don't know, New Yorkers feel when they see New York in a film. Is that real New York, or they go through that? The other, and again, this is like the how you handle messaging for a kids film. And again, I bring up the Wild Robots because I felt that's an excellent film. So sort of on a I put it on a different level, but there was like a lot of telegraphing. So the character Tom, who is like Sonic's adopted father, who I like, I think he plays a good role here, but he does telegraph some of the messaging in here because I think at the beginning of this film of 3, he has the point where it's like Sonic, it's about the choices you make, da 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 da, and like you can see, okay, that's the thing that Sonic needs to learn about at some point in the third act. So it's a bit obvious, but I think like Tom's a good character as well. He's a fun character, and he also serves as Sonic's mentor as well. When Longclaw from the very first film goes away, Sonic's goes through his own kind of grief, but then Tom serves as his surrogate father slash mentor. I don't know. In the second film, there's a bit of tension between them because Sonic's doing the kid thing. I want to be my own person, and you're not my dad. I think he actually says that you're not my dad, and then he learns actually, okay, yeah, you're cool. I'm taking your wisdom, and then here Tom's then immediately on hand to give that wisdom that Sonic then needs to learn again. So again, it's well done. Like most of the characters all seem to have a purpose. Some of the things are just there silly for like jokes, but most of the characters do have that purpose. And then I guess it's ultimately about giving Sonic, because it's all about Sonic, like giving Sonic what he needs to develop and grow up as the kid he is. I did have a quote from someone who maybe didn't like it as much. I was like trying to find interesting quotes from different perspectives, but this is from Matt Fernandez of Geeks of Color, who said, "The entire time I was watching Sonic 3, I couldn't help but feel like it was amalgam of other franchises or tropes. The most obvious comparison being that this movie feels like baby's first Fast and Furious film. Characters constantly talking about family, check. Destructive chases through densely populated cities, check. Heroes being recruited by the government for some reason as well." So yeah, I don't know what you thought about that, and particularly the other franchises thing, because there was a lot of references and like pop culture references that I guess will date this film. I don't know if you found
Yeah.
those to be a problem or not.
Oh, the references got a bit annoying for me.
Okay.
Like, because there were so many, and it was just like it was like
throwing them out.
any possible point that they could chuck in a reference, it felt like they did.
Yeah.
And it started to get a bit jarring at one point. Like there was the tail, like when someone, "Oh, are you Detective Pikachu?" And then like
Yeah.
I swear it was like 5 seconds later there was another reference, and I was like, this is too many things, too many references to too many things. It really kind of takes you out of the moment. Like one or two is funny, but like the constant consistentness of it was annoying. And I do think this comment is a fair one. But I wouldn't say that that's a bad thing. I think it is. It's like, it's baby's first movie. That's what it is. And it's fine. It's baby's first action movie. And I think there's nothing. It is a children's film. It was fun. It was good. It done it well.
There's too many references, like especially to keep up with. I think that's like mostly the issue.
Just quick Google. What does this mean? What is it?
Like if you get it, you get it. Like if you're like watching the film at a certain time, but people are just gonna be like a couple of years down the line, people are gonna be like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah. Do we not feel? I guess it's different context, right? Because the Minecraft movie is packed with it, but it's all about Minecraft, right? So it's all in the context.
Yeah. And it makes sense for that movie. Like it kind of
I guess with like fandoms, like certain certain fandoms will go and see the movie, and they would be like, all right with the references, because again, Sonic has like made like references from time to time, especially in his like video game counterpart. But yeah, people who does not like have an understanding of Sonic as a character and go into that movie like the first time and just be like, oh yeah, like oh, there's too many references here. It would be hard to keep up with.
I think they just overdid it a bit.
Yeah,
Like
a little bit.
Just because it interrupted the story too much. That.
Oh yeah.
Like, because how like the references were dropped and they're not adding anything to the story, and they were too many to make it funny.
They kept coming.
Yeah, and I think it's different from like the Minecraft. Minecraft's a sandbox game. Kind of what you do. You literally build references, and that is the experience of Minecraft: is building things that exist outside of Minecraft in Minecraft.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I think you make a good point when it takes you out and you're aware, like suddenly you're aware of this thing means this this time, like that was a particular reference from this time. And then it's like when I don't know, in a film, someone brings out a Nokia phone and like, oh, I know when that film was made, and it's not today. So yeah, it is that kind
Yeah.
of that balance that might be a bit off. But so I think by the end though, the message was like delivered. So we see similar to the second film where Knuckles comes, he's the antagonist, he's on a mission, but then by the end, Sonic learning his lesson, he then turns the antagonist around. So similar thing here where in Sonic learning his lessons about not letting revenge consume you, he then gets an understanding of he empathizes with Shadow, and they end up working together. And then that's when Gerald Robotnik becomes the big villain, even bigger villain, because oh, this is what you want to do. You want to take out everything. He's fully like, I'm letting revenge and pain, loss consume me. So then you have that like comparison. So even though Shadow's been sort of terrible up until now, in comparison, he's not as bad. So he can still be redeemed, whereas Gerald Robotnik can't be. And yeah, so it was like they bring it together, and again, I think they just about get the tone out. It's a bit of a seesaw, but I think it lands at the right place by the end. I don't know how you both felt about the ending and what you felt by the end. Like, do you feel the message was delivered in the right way by the end about not letting loss consume you? I guess that was the message, right?
Yeah, I honestly don't really remember how I felt about that. Like, I just felt, oh, like, the movie has concluded, and then like, but also like I feel like Sonic has learned that lesson, but like, it's just like, oh, the movie has concluded and everyone is doing like their own thing, and then yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get like not that I didn't get it, but I'm the same.
didn't
Like
feel
it wasn't like
Yeah.
this is the message of the whole movie, and like you're gonna walk away contemplating like letting loss consume you. I didn't feel like that. I felt like that was part of it, and there were other themes like going through, and it didn't necessarily come out that much stronger than the other theme. But like, yeah, I very similar feeling of it's like, oh yeah, the film's done. That was a nice journey. And then obviously like excited to see who's next.
Yeah. I was hyped.
That's how to get you. Yeah, no, I've heard that. And we talked about the characters. I mean, it's not a massive cast, but were there any characters that particularly stood out to you, or that you like personally resonated with along this journey?
Knuckles.
Yeah, yeah.
Knuckles stood out. It was just so funny. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed Knuckles. And I think his lines were just all just in the right place. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, he just came in, like, just that energy came in just at the right moments. And then my other favorite character is Agent Stone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we got the same favorite because Agent Stone surprised me.
Agent Stone just like kept. I think favorite of the number 3 was Agent Stone. I loved the role that he played as well, and I love his like
quote unquote relationship with Eggman.
yeah, because I feel like the previous films it was too not that it worked, but he was like super
one-dimensional.
like fangirl
Yeah.
type. Like, whereas this, I feel like he got a bit more to it. It was a bit more layered, a bit more concerned, and it was just like a sweeter connection. He seemed a bit fun, and yeah, I liked when he was like, "We've got some avocados, let's go make guac." And like just little moments like that. I think he was just such a sweet character.
Yeah, Agent Stone definitely like has like more involvement, I guess, in this film. Like
Yeah, more emotional involvement.
more,
Definitely.
yeah, especially with like the whole like relationship with him and Robotnik Ivo, and just kind of like how left out he felt because of
Yeah.
how Gerald came into the picture, and it was just like, oh yeah, like like what about us, man?
And then I think because Tails had that moment where I think they were talking, they were like, "Oh yeah, you're friends. Like me, Knuckles, and Sonic are best friends, just like you and you and
Eggman.
Dr. Robotnik." And he's like, "Yeah, we're just like that, exactly. Best of friends."
Yeah.
I felt for him so much
Ugh.
in that moment.
Yeah, definitely. As Taz said, like it's just like they like second movie he felt more of like fanboy. This movie he felt more like their like more relationship with like Robotnik, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I felt that. And I mean, I did. I liked Shadow, and I liked again, like we talked about the tone they brought Keanu Reeves. So he did the Keanu Reeves things of not saying that much. So it was a perfect match for like Keanu Reeves' delivery as well.
Mm,
But also just as a cool character, because he starts. We start off the film, and he's released, and he's just destroying people. He's doing the now I'm here, over here, disappear, and just like destroying everyone. And then at the
yep.
end, when they both turn, I'm just super saying, it's basically like the ending of the film turns into a Dragon Ball Z episode. I'm here for it. I love that, but let's call it what it is. And again, his learning. So Sonic gets him to learn what he needs to then work together. So I did like Sonic in there. And were there any? Maybe we've touched on this with Agent Stone, but did any character arcs surprise you? Like where different characters went? It's not necessarily the surprising film, but did any character arcs surprise you?
Definitely Gerald and how like they went about doing him, but like his goal was still the same as his game counterpart, especially but like in this like film he's just like more with like Ivo, and it's just kind of like building this relationship with Ivo until like he eventually reveals the big bad plan to
Mhm.
destroy Earth and enslave humanity. And yeah, but like the way like they went about like Gerald, because I do remember like seeing the like trailer for the first time. I was just like, huh? Gerald's alive in this? But
Okay.
yeah, but interesting how like they went about like how they went about that character, and yeah.
Okay, yeah, and Jim Carrey playing both roles, so he went out of retirement to play two characters. All right, and so with the themes, like Tazzy you mentioned, they're there. Like we see them. Some of them are telegraphed. We've got the Sonic needing to learn to trust his friends. Because in the second film, it's about team and him giving to team. I feel that's a lesson he had to relearn. So he didn't quite learn it the first time. He has to relearn because when he was taken over by grief, when Tom was sort of taken out, then he broke that. He's like, all right, I'm just going to go and get the emerald and do my own thing. And one of I did actually like this scene where so he's demanding because Knuckles is the only one who knows where the emerald is, and it turns out it's in like the most ridiculous place anyway. But he's the only one that knows where it is, and Sonic's like, tell me where it is, and is where the tension is rising. And it looks like they're going to square off again. So they're both like charging up and everything. But then Knuckles relents and it's just like, you know what? I can't remember the exact line, but he has a really good line of like, I'm going to trust you even though you've broken the trust.
Mm.
I felt that was a really good line. And then Sonic like takes it and then eventually he learns, all right, yeah, I should have trusted. I'm sorry, which is again similar to what he did in the second film. The one that was telegraphed is about like making the right choice. So Tom tells him it's about making the right choices determines who you are, which, not to shoehorn a God of War reference in here, but I'm going to do it, is a lesson in God of War Ragnarok about that. I won't say too much, but sort of I like that our choices determine our fate situation. And then, I mean, to be fair, I liked all the films. All the themes in this is, and then the other one with Shadow is like don't let grief change you, because I think when Shadow was introduced, or at least when the others were aware of him, it's like, oh, he's like you, Sonic. They're the same, and they're essentially two sides of how to deal with grief. Because Sonic, with his initial grief from the first film, Shadow here, and seeing what it means to have that positive reinforcement around you in your pain. And It reminded me of, I mean, it's a completely different type of story, different tone, different demographic. But if anyone's seen Vinland Saga, the anime,
Yes.
yeah, so I won't say too much because that is an excellent anime, and it works, or at least for me, it worked better going in cold. I didn't know anything about it, but it's a great example, fantastic example of what that whole idea of letting grief change you. Fantastic
Mm.
thing, and says so much, so much about that. And this is like a lighter, child appropriate version of that, of what happens when your trauma, your pain consumes you. So I like that.
Yeah, I like that they like revisited that theme of teamwork, because I think it's good, like especially if children are watching this and they're seeing this lesson learned and then seeing it relearn. And one of the things I think just like in society today is that like mistakes aren't allowed to be made, and if you fail, it's going to be in the history books forever if you do anything wrong, and you like never be able to outlive it. So I think it's nice to see Sonic's character fail on that and have to
Okay,
relearn that lesson.
that's a fair point. Yeah, one of the great things about Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender is that he fails a lot. He makes progress, and then
Yeah,
there's setbacks. So
Zuko is one of the best characters, like just in storytelling.
his
Oh
storytelling, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I've yet to see a better redemption arc in
Yeah.
any work of fiction. At
Oh
all.
yeah.
If one exists, point me to it. But so yeah, no, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Sonic does have to relearn. I think the thing with these types of films is that and I have this discussion with people where we talk about My Man, and I say we're all ages, and all ages doesn't mean 4 kids, because 4 kids is different. So I never, well, I would say never, but I don't necessarily think of a specific young age demographic when writing stories. What I do is write the story, and then there's like adjustments you make. So Tazzy, you mentioned early on, like you don't see anyone die or get shot, like even Maria. I mean, they changed it for this because I know in the game she gets shot, but here she just gets caught in an explosion. Still tragic, but different type of context. But you don't see, you just like see the end result. So I know when making our stories, I don't like, I go for themes first anyway, but I don't necessarily say what's going to work for the younger audience. I just make something, and then when we do the story, then we know there's not going to be like gratuitous violence. There is some violence in there, and there's not going to be, no one's getting. There's a scene. I think this was in. I can't remember if this is in the second or third one, but where a laser beam comes upon Tails' head, and then, if depending on the age rating, that could have ended up in a completely different way than it did here. So like with our stories, I'm thinking, okay, there's certain things that we're not going to necessarily show, but it doesn't mean it's for kids. So the idea is that if you're an adult, if you're 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, you'll resonate with the themes and you can still enjoy it. And I feel, I mean, Sonic is more for kids, but I feel there's still enough there that an adult, if you're a parent or just, I don't know, us just going and watching, you can enjoy it. And then if you are a parent, family member, there's that chance to have a discussion about what's happening in the story. And like, Taz, you mentioned, you can say, oh, Sonic, he learned this, but he had to relearn it because he didn't properly learn it, and he failed, and he had to, go again. And I feel it again does well with that side of it as well, because I think that's important when you're considering a story for this audience primarily. So as these films do, at the end we are introduced to a new character. So Amy is coming for the next one. The next film is set and scheduled for 2027. So Amy Rose will be the new character added, and she was teased in the end credit scene. And what I'm intrigued by, so I'm interested to hear like what you think she'll add, but I wonder, because Dr. Robotnik is looks like he's dead,
Mm.
and I presume Jim Carrey is done with acting. So if there's no Dr. Robotnik, do these films work? Will the next one work without him?
I guess it will, like, see how they will do this, because like a lot of like fans have been like, Stone could be like, the new Dr. Robotnik, or kind of like taking over like Robotnik. also like some like fans speculations would just be like, oh, it's gonna be like a Marvel movie. He'll be back next film.
Oh, the Earth 818 Robotnik.
Yeah.
I don't because Jim Carrey brings a lot to
Oh
this.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a big hole to fill.
I feel like like he did like this kind of like interpretation of Robotnik really, really well. Or like, how they could do this like within like the cinematic universe space, and just brings his own like mannerisms to that character.
Yeah, but
So
Mm.
yeah, I don't know how they're gonna go about it, but like Stone being like, the new Robotnik in a sense could potentially work, but also like how would that work with like the character dynamic of like Amy and also like the Metal Sonics?
yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, if is there a scene or moment that left an impression on you that we haven't talked about? Any like particular favorite moments, Tazzy?
This is like so not really to do with anything. But the was it like a telenovela that was
Oh, yeah. How can we forget?
that
The Latinas.
won the telenovela, but an extra bonus point for it having one of footballers from Ted Lasso in it.
Oh, okay.
Was the
Really?
actor. Yeah, the actor was oh, I forgot his name. Yeah, but the actor in the telenovela was Ted Lasso footballer.
Interesting.
So it was like a double bonus moment for me.
Yeah.
There was a moment. It was like all the tropes were in it. Like my twin brother.
Yeah. Like, is there like a just I just want the telenovela, like
Yeah, just give
the Sonic telenovela.
I feel like there's like multiple like references that they made to like the fans. Well, fans have made, but then like, they just incorporated it into the movie as well.
Yeah.
Like shadow liking telenovelas because of Latinas and oh, what else was there? Hot Topic.
Oh yeah.
Because of his red stripes.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
That was a good line. That was actually
Yeah.
a good line. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of quips and like we said references, but there was some like good lines in there. I did like so I mentioned the high scene, but when they were in the laser room and
Oh.
the Robotnik dance,
Yes.
that was so silly, but
It was silly, but
yeah,
it
I was like, this is
worked.
funny. And they hit the choreography.
Yeah, that moment is so iconic now. When I did the Sonic Con Absolution set, I played the song from that scene and everybody loved it.
Nice.
So
It works.
it works. And it's so Carrey. It's so Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if I don't know, because obviously like the age of the average age of the audience for this, if there's any care to go back and look at Jim Carrey's early work, I don't know, Ace Ventura, The Mask, and because if you love that, you'll love all those films as well. Also, one just other last thing from it, but the actor that plays Agent Stone, just a shout out because like I said, I watched 2 and 3 back to back, and he just has like the exact same trim, like beard, face, everything. Not anything about anything, but I respect that. He just exact same trim and everything. So shout out to his, I don't know, barber who's doing that work. Anyway, that's not about anything. Yes, just respect that. Cool. Yeah. So well done, kids film. Solid 3 solid entries, and that's that's difficult thing to do. Yeah, just ask, I don't know, Game of Thrones. Is sometimes you get to the end and you run out of steam, but not here. So we got a 4th one coming, so we're going to see that. But that's been our discussion on Sonic 3 and pretty much the Sonic movie franchise as well. So let us know your thoughts. What was your favorite moments? What are you expecting from Amy? Can this film work without Jim Carrey? Unless they find a way to pull him back in again. So yeah, let us know your thoughts. Before we wrap completely, let's get into this week's storytelling tip. And each time we do a deep dive on the podcast, I like to pull out a storytelling tip for others to consider when making their stories. So this is a consideration from someone who also creates stories and likes to learn from the techniques or mistakes of others. And for today's episode, I wanted to explore the flashback and how to do it properly, do it well in that case. So like we mentioned, I think it was done well, done to good effect in this film for Shadow, which sounds like we all appreciated. So I wanted to dive into that because flashbacks can be a really versatile tool in storytelling, and it enables like story creators to add like characterization, expand the scope of the narrative, add emotional depth to it. It can be used to reveal essential information that the audience needs to know while shaping how the audience perceives the present moment of the story. So you can reveal formative experiences like we saw in with Shadow, expose hidden truths, add intensity to the dramatic stakes, but they can be controversial, which is why I brought them up earlier, because in the real world, memories don't necessarily work the way flashbacks do. Like we feel memories in sort of slideshows and rarely replay them in the entire scene straight to finish, start to finish. But used well, they can be an effective way to present essential information and backstory. And the good uses are typically tied to the present narrative and used sparingly and purposefully. So think about that. But like we said, in Sonic or in the whole series, flashbacks are used sparingly, but typically always have narrative weight. I know the second film recalls Sonic's past with his mentor Longclaw to make clear his loneliness and desire for belonging, which that film is about. In Sonic 3, flashbacks are crucial in introducing Shadow. So his tragic backstory as a scientific experiment and the death of Maria emerges from those fragmented recollections. So these sequences allow us to understand him, not just as an antagonist, but as a character who's been shaped by grief and injustice. And the flashbacks have a dual purpose here. So they provide lore. So we know from the games, they find that way to bring that information in. And they also humanize a figure who might otherwise appear like a one-note antagonist. So as we talked about, for kids focused film, they also allow the writers to introduce some darker emotional themes in a way that is still accessible and appropriate for younger viewers. And yeah, that's a skill in itself. And we see, I feel flashbacks are used so many times, some good, some not so good, but used across mediums and for different purposes, depending on what impact you want the narrative to have on the audience viewing it. And that's important to remember. So one of the examples we bring up in our workshops, in our comic workshops, is Pixar's Finding Nemo. So Pixar have a good series, Pixar in a Box, where they talk about some of the principles of storytelling. And they bring up Finding Nemo as a great example of how flashbacks can anchor emotional stakes, but also how you can still mess around with them because moving them about has different impacts. So in the opening scene of that film, we see the traumatic loss of Marlin's partner and most of their eggs to a barracuda, which leaves him overprotective of his only surviving child, Nemo. But for those that didn't know, the initial test screening versions of the film had flashbacks spread across the runtime of the film to explain Marlin's behavior. But in those test screenings, audiences struggled to empathize with Marlon, and they didn't like him. They just saw him as neurotic rather than sympathetic. So Pixar got rid of some of the flashbacks and moved all the existing ones to the start of the film. And that reframed Marlon's caution as the understandable result of grief and trauma. Another example in games, The Last of Us Left Behind, that DLC, where you get a playable flashback that explores Ellie's relationship with Riley, and that gameplay allows you to mirror, or allows them to mirror, Ellie's innocence and vulnerability before the devastating present of the main game. So making that flashback playable, which obviously game you can do, the audience experiences those memories viscerally, and we experience how the joy and the tragedy of the past like deepen those stakes for the main narrative. So here are a few things to consider when implementing flashbacks in your story. So number one is be clear on the purpose. So you want to ask what narrative problem the flashback solves. So if your character has already shared a significant event from their past, you might not need to repeat the same information in a flashback. In fact, you don't do that. Does it reveal motive? Does it heighten tension? Does it transform the audience understanding? You have to be clear on the reason for introducing the flashback so you can avoid misusing them. In Avatar: The Last Airbender, we get selective flashbacks that reveal key character motives, such as Zuko's scar and his relationship with his father. So the flashbacks are brief but potent, so they appear only when the story demands it, and it works all the better for it. Number two, integrate and transition seamlessly. So flashbacks, there's still a stop in the present day of the story. So they should have a clear connection to what's happening in that main storyline, both narratively and just logistically. So like the transitions to and from, so that your audience remains oriented and knows where they are at all times. You often see things like a present moment will trigger a flashback. So that's a good way to go from one to the other. You want to avoid the jarring interruptions, unless that's the point of the story you're making. So it does depend. Number three, consider where they are placed, like I mentioned with Finding Nemo. So early flashbacks can establish stakes, while later one can recontextualize events. So you want to test different positions, but it's also important to know what impact you want from your audience, because that will help you decide. And last one, number four, is keep your flashbacks short and focused. So they should serve the main narrative, not overshadow it, and even be used to set up some intrigue, some engagement in the main storyline. So you want to get in and get out as soon as the purpose has been served. Because if you do like long flashbacks, that can slow down your pacing. So you want to be sparing with them. And remember that the more questions you raise about a character's past in your main storyline, the more compelling flashback could be. So yeah, keep that in mind. Flashbacks are a way of deepening like the stakes when they are done properly. So they're not just detours or filler, unless it's anime, because I feel that is a thing that happens. But can be essential journeys into your story. So that is it for this week. If you're creating your own story, let us know what you think about the tip, how you've used flashbacks in your work. So that's the tip for this episode. Tazziii, let's check in with our guest.
Sorry, we'd love to know more details on your any latest projects or interesting news that you share with us, and also where everyone can find you.
Yeah, so I'll be back on the road for the We Touch Grass UK tour, the UK run. So if you like anime music, then I will be in Glasgow for the 18th of October, Liverpool for the 24th, Newcastle for the 25th, and London for the 26th of October. And if you're going to Sonic Con in London, then I'll be doing a after party DJ set for that. It's an extended version of the DJ set that I did for Absolution, which was Bentley Jones's anniversary and birthday show that I performed alongside. And yeah, as for new projects, still have to keep them in the hush, but for Lost Tree, my lo-fi project, I recently released the most recent EP, video game lo-fi Persona 3, where I cover the music of Persona 3 from Portable, Reload, Episode Igus, and the original Persona 3 game. And yeah, that's everything right now. And you can find me at official SARE on all platforms.
Thank you so much. We'll make sure to add some notes.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you for coming back, joining us again. This is the trap that we lay for people. We invite them on once, and then we reel them in again with a film that they might like. So you fell into the trap. Well done. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate you spending the time with us. Look forward to having you on again. We'll reel you in with something in the future. I'm sure.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And if you enjoyed this episode of Story X Story, do make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a future episode. You can also give us a 5-star rating and review. Thank you to those who have done that. That all helps us reach new listeners and fans of story discussions. You can also share links, and we're also story creators, so you can discover our manga universe online. And our latest title, Origins Against All Odds, is also available, myamada.com. Don't forget to jump in our Discord as well and connect with us between episodes. So you can join the My Matter Studio 77 Discord, meet others in the growing community, involved in the Do I Look Like a Gamer video game representation campaign, which is our yearly initiative for inclusion and diversity in the video games industry and wider culture. So we've got a bunch of plans left for the year. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, Comic-Con, if you're there, we'll see you there as well. And you can even potentially be part of next year's photo campaign. But if not, you can also see the ones that we've got as well. They'll be at Comic-Con, they're online, looklikeagamer.com. Head to the campaign website there and see how you can get involved. As for the podcast, we release new episodes on Thursdays that include video game discussions, interviews with creative practitioners, and deep dives into stories across pop culture. You can always give us a shout directly. Our email address is studio77@mymatter.com, and our website with links to subscribe is mymatter.com/story. So thank you for tuning in. Until next time, stay safe. And remember, sugar-coated darkness may be good for the taste buds, but it's still bad for the soul. So be careful. Take care, everyone.